There we go. It worked out for us. What a stupid list. What is up, guys? Today I've got a really exciting deck list to showcase to you. It feels really gross running this list, but it also at the same time feels really good. It's a very odd concept that I know you Magic the Gathering players out there actually completely understand. How many times have you played a deck where you're just like, that felt dirty, that was gross, but you know what? Let's go ahead and send it again. Anyway, if you guys like this video and if you like my content, please hit that like and subscribe button so you can check out the weekly content that we push out. Anyway, let's go straight into it. This deck only has 4 non-land cards. Thassa's Oracle being our win condition. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue. In this particular case, it'll always be 2 because Thassa's Oracles is pretty much the only permanent we have outside of lands, and that has devotion. So as long as it's 2 or less, it's the only time you're casting it. Once it resolves, it'll do like a whole scry thing, and then you just win the game. Simple enough, super simple. You guys saw it in the opening video, and boy, boy was that funny. Anyway, sorry. And then Treasure Hunt is the we only have 3 copies of these. I feel like 1 more copy of this would actually be too slow for us. You'd really just want to use 3. I've seen some lists that run 4, but for this particular purposes, 3 is fine. What it's going to allow you to do is you're going to reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card, and put all cards, revealed this way into your hand. So it's a great way of essentially milling yourself to where you essentially get a turn 3, turn 4 win. Obviously based on drops when it comes to a turn 3 win, but you're almost guaranteed a turn 4 win. What do we die to? We die to counter magic. Currently with the current meta, the most counter magic we generally see at around the turn 3, turn 4 mark is Mystical Dispute. At least something that can deal with Thassa's Oracle. If our treasure hunts get countered, that's fine. Like, we just bring them back with Mystic Sanctuaries, which I'll touch base on here in a second. But something like Mystical Dispute, we kind of see occasionally. That's when you just kind of push it toward a turn 5. If you're kind of thinking your opponent has one. Otherwise, you just win, right? Unless they can get some kind of crazy aggro combo out by turn 4, which is very much possible. Counter magic is our essentially our Achilles heel, because if Thassa's Oracle doesn't resolve, then we just lose the game, right? So anyway, let's go into the Mystic Sanctuaries. Essentially what this does is during your opening hand, you always want to at least have a treasure hunt. You can mull all the way down to 2. That's fine, because honestly your next draw, you're probably going to draw a land, so you'll be okay. As long as you have a treasure hunt in hand, it'll refill your hand literally as soon as you get to play it. And then once you're about going into turn 2, turn 3, turn 3, because you want 3 islands on the battlefield going into turn 4. You go ahead and play your Mystic Sanctuary. That's going to put one of your treasure hunts back on top of your library. And then in fact, you actually cast you cycle a Lonely Sandbar, which I'm sure you have in your hand by that point. And then you put it directly in your hand, and you can recast it, thinning out your library more. I mean, honestly, that's like that's like the meat and potatoes of the deck right there. We can actually, there's no sideboard, as you can see. So we could actually just go straight into the matchup, the best of 3 we had. The opening video was a different matchup. Generally speaking, I feel like we get a lot of people just concede turn 4 when they see what's happening to them. And I just happen to be able to capture someone that didn't concede and just let it play out. So this match in particular was really good. It's against the list that we probably see occasionally on the historic ladder. Something I would recommend is always having the treasure hunt in hand. As you can see here, weirdly enough, and I even said this on stream, I thought to myself, 6 lands in hand, and then telling yourself, this is pretty good. This is a good hand. It's a very odd sensation, but you know what? Send it, right? So we go ahead and play our island. At the moment, what I currently do as far as thought process behind it is looking at the type of lands we have, obviously ensuring we have the treasure hunt. Whenever we play it, and we get a boatload of islands and all the stuff, as you can see in our hand, what we're getting rid of is all of our islands. However, you always want to be sure you at least have one island when you're going into turn 3, so that way your Mystic Sanctuary can do what it needs to be doing. So right now we have 2 islands on the battlefield, so we want to make sure we have one more in hand, so that way we have 3 out. And then when we go into turn 4, we're able to Mystic Sanctuary and get one of our treasure hunts back. Just something to bear in mind there. As you can see, we kept all our Lonely Sandbars. We kept our Mystic Sanctuaries. I didn't keep an island here because I forgot about that. Not gonna lie to you, either that, or I'm just thinking to myself, you know, we'll draw into one. But that might have been a minor punt there, especially because if we don't top deck into one, which our likelihood is pretty solid, right? So we do draw into one. That's gonna put our Mystic Sanctuaries online to be able to dig for that treasure hunt that we had in there before. I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, wait a second, this needs to be 3 or more islands. I'm like, wait, nope, don't you play that. Don't, no sir. All right, so we should drop the island here. I mean, we could sandbar. That could be okay. If we do hit a treasure hunt, then kudos on us. Otherwise, it's not the end of the world. So as you can see, we're playing up against the Field of the Dead list. Like I said, I feel like I've came across a decent amount of field cards, or excuse me, field lists during the historic ranked ladder. FYI, guys, this is actually my first historic format YouTube video. I hope you guys enjoy it because I personally am really liking historic right now. I feel like there's a large multitude of different types of lists that you can play, a lot of creativity that goes into historic right now when it comes to different archetypes. And I know I'm having a really good time with it, so I'm hoping you guys are having fun with it too and are looking forward to some more historic videos. I think I'll go back and forth between like standard lists that we come across that are spicy, and then we'll also kind of look around for some really spicy historic lists. So as you can see, we did do a cycle there with Lonely Island, a little bit of an off play for us, but we went ahead and did what we could do. Oh no, excuse me, I'm sorry. We played our Mystic Sanctuary, we put it back on top, we cycled, we grabbed the treasure hunt, and we played it. That's what happened here. All right, now we're just kind of tweezing our lands at the moment. And it looks like we should have the win, right? What is it that Chris, the person we're playing against on the ladder, what can he do to get back in this game and win? The only thing I can see is a counter spell, like countering our Thassa's Oracle. Otherwise, I don't think he's going to get enough creatures out with haste to kill me this turn, because we win next turn, right? Okay, so yeah. He's going to go ahead and scoop because he saw that as well. We don't have a sideboard, so it's not even going to take us to like the sideboard screen, as you can see. And there shouldn't be a sideboard for this. Literally anything you play. This was recorded from a live stream, so I'm probably saying some things. I apologize. Ignore my face. What was I saying? Oh, so when it comes to this list, one of the things we are worried about is counter magic, but like you really can't sideboard for that. Even if you add like an additional copy of, I don't know, Thassa's Oracle or something, that just slows you down even more because you're not trying to hit any of those cards with your treasure hunts. You're trying to mill your entire deck by turn 4. So the less cards in there, the better. So in this particular case, we get nothing in our hand, right? So we're gonna go ahead and mulligan. And like I said, we're good to mulligan all the way down to 2. I wouldn't say 1 because you still need to play a land. Oh, there it is. We're just gonna go ahead and get rid of everything. And then bear in mind, guys, something to kind of be cognizant of is we are trying to thin our library using treasure hunts, right? Whenever we mulligan and we put those cards at the bottom of the library, that means treasure hunts itself isn't necessarily going to get us to that 2 left in our bin, or excuse me, in our library marks. So those lonely islands actually might come in handy. We have to discard 22 cards. I don't know why I find this so silly, but it is. And then we're just kind of looking for excess islands. Probably just going to get rid of a mystical dispute more than likely. Or I guess a lonely island's fine too. In that particular situation, I think mystical dispute would have been the right one, because we're probably going to need all of our lonely sandbars. Since we did mull 4 cards down to the bottom of our library, then that's at least 2 sandbars to get to the 2 left in our library mark. So something to be cognizant of there. Might have been a minor punt on my part. I probably didn't think of it, because when I played this list on stream, this is actually the first time I play historic in general, let alone this list. So I am also, bear in mind, kind of figuring it out as I go, which also kind of showcases how easy and how simple this list is. There is some tempo behind it. There is a little bit of like thought process, like how you're gonna thin your library correctly, but I mean, it's pretty easy. If you can run like an Esper Stacks or something, you're good. Maybe not necessarily a Winota. And here's me trying to figure out, yeah, we need 3 islands out, right? We don't have any treasure hunts. So next turn, we're gonna have to do our nifty, our nimbly bimbly, drop a Mystic Sanctuary, do a Lonely Sandbar, and then get it back kind of situation. Now, I would not be surprised if he sideboarded Mystical Disputes here, right? Because he saw game 1 what it is that I'm doing. He knows that he needs to put an end to the combo. It doesn't really matter too much as to what he's doing right now, as far as like resolving creatures, etc. What we're more worried about is the counter magic that he could be setting up for. We shouldn't win this turn. We get our, yeah, we can't win this turn, because we have to Lonely Sandbar our treasure hunt. All right, so we get our next one. We have 16 cards in our library. Means we should win next turn, right? We treasure hunt. It should thin it out, or it should clear the rest of our library. And then we'll have 5 mana online, right? So we would treasure hunt into a Thassa's Oracle and then just win next turn, as long as he doesn't counter it. I'm kind of looking at my graveyard, seeing where our treasure hunts are at. So he does have a counter spell online, like potentially. We have 2 Lonely Sandbars in hand. I don't know if we bother cycling right now. I think we kind of it's at the point in the matchup where we just kind of hold on to those in case we need to do a little bit of a min-max there. So, okay, sure. Nexus of Fate. Gross. I mean, I can't really talk much. Look at the deck I'm playing, but sure. He's gonna come at us with Golos and his 2 zombies. We just eat it. That's just what we're doing here. We're kind of hoping he didn't draw into another Nexus of Fate, because that would be super gross too. Sure. And what's interesting is he was tapping his mana accordingly, right? He was leaving it to a point where he has blue up. So something to be kind of cognizant of. I think a smart play would be take it to turn with 1 card in hand, take it to turn 5. But we may not even be left with that decision, right? Because if we treasure hunt, then we should mill the rest of our library. I'm thinking about it. I'm like 16 cards. We could hit our other treasure hunt. We know there's 1 more in our library. If we hit it, then that means we just have to treasure hunt once and then Thassa's Oracle for the win. But that doesn't hold up the 3 mana we need for Thassa's to protect Thassa's Oracle from a mystical dispute. So yeah, there's the 1. One in the bin, one in our hands. We know we have one in our library. So I'm gonna go ahead and cycle. We do hit it. Okay. So now we know we don't have any more cards in our library, right? So here's the gamble. We know it'll pull all the rest of the cards from our library. So we have to Thassa's Oracle here. If we make that decision, and I don't think there is any other correct decision there. He hits us with the Mystical Dispute. Because he comes at us with 6, 7, 8, 9. He hits us with 9 damage next turn. So we either take the win right there or we just die during his turn. So I think it was still the right move. One card in hand. He had the Mystical Dispute. If we had more life and if we had actually honestly if we just had more life, we'd probably just wait till next turn because then we can just have the mana to pay for Mystical Dispute. But well, I guess we'd have to thin our library first. We have turn 5, turn 4, 5, 6, 7. We might have to wait 2 turns. So that way we can treasure hunt and then Thassa's Oracle. Sorry, I was just doing the math on the fly. I should have considered this beforehand. All right, so and then we showcase that match as well because we do lose sometimes. This is an extremely consistent deck in regards to just winning. But we do get our losses occasionally. Sometimes you'll just keep drawing mana during the opening hand and you just have to keep mulliganing until you just lose. That happens. That's just the RNG gods not being in our favor. But I feel like it is one of the more consistent lists, weirdly enough. And because it does die to counter magic so easily, I don't even know if it really is best of 3. I mean, the most common counter magic we see right now is Mystical Dispute, and you can play around it. We occasionally see like absorbs, which you have to be kind of cognizant of. I mean, you kind of see it coming, but still something to be kind of worried about, and something you just, I don't know how I feel about lists where you just die to something, you know what I mean? All right, so next turn we're able to do our Mystic Sanctuary, recheck our treasure hunts, then we'll be golden. Sure. We're gonna go ahead and cycle here. Just if we hit our treasure hunt, then we get to just probably win next turn. It's one of those like, oh, this is a really lucky draw for us. We get to win turn 4 off the bat. I mean, he's taking a little bit to find his land cards, isn't he? Or his gates. Okay, and something to bear in mind too, he is also tapped out. So it's not like he can really disrupt our treasure hunt shenanigans. And we'll go ahead and play it. We get the rest of our cards. That's quite a boatload of cards in our hand. There's only one left in the library. Sure. Does this mean guaranteed win next turn? That means we actually don't have to treasure hunt first, right? Because if he were to have the Mystical Dispute next turn, we have 4 mana online. Next turn we go into 5 mana. Thassa's Oracle is 2 mana. So that means we hold up 3 untapped mana to pay for a Mystical Dispute next turn. So I feel like we're sitting fairly pretty here. This is probably the worst part of this list is discarding so many lands. I think the paper variant would be a lot easier. I'm like, oh goodness gracious. Let me go ahead and keep an island. May as well. We just need a turn, right? We just need to play a land. Next turn is either the win or the loss for us, regardless, because we only have 1 card in our library. Go big or go home in this particular situation. I mean, he's tapping some weird stuff, right? Escaping the Wilds. He's trying to hit his counterspell. So this tells me that he doesn't have the counter magic. Because if he did, then that's a win, right? Okay, so that's it. Sure. I'll take it. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. I really do. Once again, I apologize for doing it. If you do enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you can check out future content. I also have my most recent uploads right here. You can check it out. I've got some really spicy lists in standard, as well as some of the meta lists that we played. I'm aware that there is a ban announcement today. I'm kind of excited to see where it goes and like what some of the decisions Wizards of the Coast is going to make with the current place standards in right now. I would like to make some more historic videos in the upcoming future. I don't know if we're going to do like maybe an alternating, like this week we do standard, next week we do historic, and vice versa. Or maybe we do like 2 uploads a week. One on Mondays for, I don't know, historic, and then Fridays for standard or something like that. I'm gonna have to figure out some kind of schedule. If you have if you would like to see more standard, if you would like to see more historic, please let me know in the comments below. But yeah, appreciate y'all for tuning in, and I'll see you again next week.